biografiya hennes. Yanar Mohammad في بغداد ولد under 24 år. Hon blev färdig med mastergrad i Bagdad i 1993. Hon flyttade till Kanada från 1995 och har jobbat med OAVI kvinnoorganisation från 1998. Så hon var aktivist med OAVI kvinnoorganisation som vi har bytt namnen från 2003 till irakiska kvinnojouren i Irak. Hon var aktiv i Kanada och jobbat med i utlandet jobbade vi som stöttekampanjer för kvinnors rättigheter som är samarbete med organisation. Kvinnors rättigheter har danat kriscenter i Munzer i Sulemania. Så organisationen var upptatt med det kriscentret som trycker angreppet i 2000. Organisationen kämpar för ett modern grundlag istället för det gamla grundlagen som följer från sharia-lagen. Så organisationen har kämpat för att byta de lagarna som betyder kvinnor undertryckelse i Irak. I maj 2003, efter Bashar-regimen reste hon tillbaka till Bagdad, så hon bodde i Bagdad efter krigen. Så hon är ledare för organisationen och så är känd som kvinnoaktivist i Bagdad och i utlandet, också i Kanada och USA. Hon är känd och har haft många intervjuer med TV-kanalen och avlyssna. Sedan organiserade hon flera seminarier och debatter genom media, både i Irak och utlandet. Hon fick uppmärksamhet för det. Yanar är chefredaktör i avisen Equality och så på arabiska al-Mashawa. På kurdiska är jag svensk och därför försäljningsspråk. I den oroliga situationen i Irak öppnade hon 2 kriscenter, en i Bagdad och så en i Kvinnojouren. Så hon har bilder och som ska diskutera om våra kriscenter och aktiviteterna som vi hade i Bagdad, om demonstration och försäljelse för situationer, att organisationen krävde att gatorna är oroliga eller uttrycka för kvinnor är erkänt för det som vi hade försökt demonstrationer i Bagdad. I januari 2004 provade hon att islamistiska grupperna i Bagdad på grund av hennes motstånd till bestämmelser den lagen 136 som styrade skulle byta lagen till sharia-lag som grundlag i Irak. Den lagen som jag har sagt att följer lagen 100% för att göra sharia-lagen. Så det betyder kvinnor för kvinnors rättigheter och så allt i lagarna till kvinnoundertryckelse. Så det finns ingen rättigheter för kvinnor. Ja, det var hon Yanar, men det får man ska vinna och Yanar. Så hon talade på engelska och deras alla språk till henne på engelska, det blir som båda. Eller de kan prata på arabiska, så de kan prata på arabiska, så vi har möjlighet till att tolka till engelska till henne för att förstå henne. Hon kan prata på arabiska och på engelska. Welcome everybody. Thank you, Bahar, for the introduction. I'm English. I belong to the Islamic Council. Bahar is one of our beautiful activists in the abroad organization. She is one of the women who promotes for our work inside Iraq. And our work inside Iraq is about equality between women and men. It's about freedom of women. It's about full rights for women. make international tours is that we believe that the struggles of women inside Iraq should be connected to the international scene. We have an internationalist vision, and we think that freedoms inside Iraq should be supported by the freedom-loving people outside, in Norway, in the US, in England, in China, in Japan, and we are beginning to get support of many people all around the world. Inside Iraq, the ruling parties, whether they are Islamist or they are nationalist, they try to separate the Iraqi women's movement from the outside movement, from the internationalist movement. They have different pretexts. Sometimes they tell us our traditions. Women should be different within those traditions. In other situations, they say our religion means less freedom for women. All of those packages are ready for us by the different ruling parties. But we as an organization and supported by the most progressive groups, and usually they are labor groups, workers groups, union unemployed groups, and the workers' councils, all of those support us, and we have decided to begin this movement inside Iraq. Our organization started after the fall of the regime. In 2003, we started our organization. It started by 3 women in Iraq and the merging of another group that used to work in Kurdistan of Iraq called Independent Women's Organization. From that time until now, we have multiplied. It's 2,800 women now as members and tens of strong activists that work all over Iraq. I will be telling you, I'll be speaking now for almost 20 minutes about the sufferings of women inside Iraq, but I'd rather not keep it just limited to words. I would rather show you a slideshow later on that will show you what we have done inside Iraq. Of course, the story that George Bush has told the outer world that this war is about the liberation of women and men inside Iraq is one big lie. What we have faced inside Iraq during the last 1 year and a half were major atrocities against everybody. But the women, specifically the women, were more hurt than the men. They are the vulnerable part, the weak part of the society. They and their children get hurt more in situations of war. How do they get hurt? Let's start with the story of the kidnappings. With the beginning of the war, ousting the regime of Saddam Hussein caused the total failure of all the institutions. Imagine having the streets with no police, with no army. All the gangs can do whatever they want to do. All the, let's call them the trafficking gangs who want to hurt the women can do whatever they want to do without getting hurt, without being supervised by anybody. So what we face inside Iraq, that every month we hear lots of cases, I would say every month, somewhere between 50 to 100 cases of women who were kidnapped. Many of them were raped, many of them were sold, and we were surprised that trafficking, sexual trafficking of women from inside Iraq to outside Iraq to be sold into markets became something regular. There was even a price tag put on Iraqi women. For a virgin, it's $200. For a woman, it's $100. This happened immediately after the war. And according to our estimation, we announced this figure in August 2003. According to our estimation, during that time, there were already 400 women who were kidnapped, assaulted, many of them trafficked outside the country. And many media reports confirmed that. Human Rights Watch report confirmed that. One of the media reports that was published in The Independent, and this was a few months back, said that in the country of Yemen, there is this hotel called Al-Diya Hotel. Only in that hotel, there were 180 Iraqi women who were working as prostitutes, and they were locked in there. They had no money, they had no ability to leave that place. So we are talking about only one hotel in one country. Imagine from the beginning of the war until now, the hundreds of women who have been treated as 10th-degree human beings, sold
into sexual slavery, turned into a prostitute, happen to do that for a living, and even if you don't keep the money, people are using you for this. This was one of the consequences we saw from this war, and this definitely is not liberation. This was no liberation for women in Iraq. We started it like this. The second thing was the economic crisis. After the total failure of institutions in Iraq, all the factories were closed, all the public sector was closed. And can you imagine 1 year and a half, and there are millions of women that are single parents in Iraq, and they have to make a living for their children, and they have no source of income. At some point, as an organization, we went to the Americans, we met them, we told them, look, if you want to give us the same democracy that you have in the United States, what you have there is social insurance programs. You have the welfare, you have the unemployment. All of these women lost their jobs because of you. The least thing you could do is give them some monthly money just to support their children. That's what we do in America, right? And they said, oh yes, of course we will do this, but it will take us time. We will need to study all the country, the demographic, and when we count all the population of the country, and we see who deserves and who not. We told them this will take years. How are we supposed to survive meanwhile? There were no answers, and briefly speaking, they did not care, not at all. The economic crisis has pushed the people in Iraq in general, and mainly the women. I want to emphasize on the women because of consecutive wars. We have hundreds of thousands of widows that have lost their husbands in internal or external wars. And there are no social programs to take care of those women and their families. So after this war, even those who had these jobs that paid them minimum income, even that they had lost. Somebody's getting a call. The economic crisis is still a dilemma that people are not able to get over. The interim government and the Americans say that the unemployment in Iraq is 25% now, and they just make the propaganda about it all over the world, and again, that is one big lie. According to what we see in Iraq, and according to our counts, the unemployment is 70 to 80%. It fluctuates, and according to our counts, within the women's groups, it is 90% unemployed. Children, no children, divorce, widow, whatever your situation is, you have no income to feed your kids. So how are you supposed to survive these hard days? And these hard days that lasted long, more than 1 year and a half, the women are suffering, and everybody in general. All of that is understandable. It happens in every war, in every place in the world, and whatever the situation is. But what is special about this war? Some of you who come from that area could know, but then again it has spread out all over the world. What we were surprised with inside Iraq, that there was this major jump, say, this major threat of political Islam that had attacked us from all over the world. We are seeing terrorists come from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, from everywhere. They are making up these gangs, they are beginning to recruit, to influence the young men, and they are starting their holy war against the occupation. Now, all the Iraqis hate the occupation. They don't want it to stay there. But when we see that these Islamist terrorists begin exploding, begin their daily battles against Americans, and these explosions do not hurt the Americans. For every American that they kill, they are killing, on the other side, 50 Iraqis. So the terrorists are hurting the Iraqis before they are hurting the Americans. And the insecurity that they have created for us is a general scene where it is very horrific for everybody in general. I talk about the women specifically. We used to look like this inside Iraq, the women, but now when you turn on the TV, the CNN or whatever, you see all the women are wrapped up in veil, in these long dresses, black, sad dresses. This is not because the women are covering themselves. This is not because they are in love with their religion. This is because you cannot leave your house and go out to the street looking like a modern woman. You are threatened. The threats reach to you. They will make it very clear to you that if you leave your house again like this next day, we are going to kill you. And during this month of Ramadan, the Islamist groups felt very free to write statements and sign them that whichever woman leaves the house in modern dress, she will be killed, she will have acid thrown on her face, and we will not let her look like this, because this is against our beliefs. We face a situation where political parties that are heavily funded by surrounding countries, they are imposing themselves on our reality, they are changing it into a very oppressive one, where the women do not count in the society. You look at the streets, you look at the gathering places, there are no women. Is this a society without women? That equals women to men. A secular constitution that guarantees equality regardless of ethnicity, regardless of religion, regardless of gender. And this is a very important issue in our organization. In our organization, usually inside Iraq, we are not allowed to identify ourselves as our ethnicities. But I'm not Arab and you are Kurdish and we will not level with each other. That has no place in our organization. Everybody is equal regardless of ethnicity, of religion. And we try to make it a culture within all the groups that surround us. What have we done since then? We have done many campaigns. We started it with the one against the kidnappings of women, and we made pressure over the authorities that they should put police on the streets and change the situation, and we have witnessed some changes when it comes to that. The second campaign we did was against Resolution 137. Resolution 137 was forwarded by the Iraqi Governing Council. Had it worked, the Islamic Sharia would have overwritten the civil laws. What does that mean? Islamic Sharia law means that every man is allowed to marry 4 women. 1 man is equal to 4 women in a family, and all the rights of marriage, of divorce are for the men, and very minimum for the women, and there is no minimum age of marriage for women. For example, a man of 60-year-old could marry a female of 8-year-old, and it would still be legal. And he can marry 4 of them, not only 1. Imagine the Americans starting a war in Iraq to bring us such a law, such a civil law. Is this liberation? I don't think so. The projects that we have done, we have introduced a new project inside Iraq, which is very regular in a country like this, women's shelter, somewhere where you protect women from domestic abuse, and on top of it, there are honor killings inside Iraq. If I'm a teenager and I loved a person, or I wanted to marry somebody that they are not okay with, my parents can kill me. Inside Iraq, there's an article in the law that protects the men that do the honor killing. So what we did is that we started the women's shelter and we said no woman should be abused or threatened by killing inside Iraq, and we will work against it. And if a woman feels threatened, she could come to us. We are responsible of her protection. We have 2 shelters now running. We began to take women in. We saved some of them from very bad situations. One of them was raped by an American soldier. She was afraid to go back home because her brothers will kill her. Even if she is raped, it is considered an honor killing. So we took her in, we took care of her, we brought her doctors, psychotherapists. She is better now, and her life is slightly better. I wouldn't say much better. So we try to create an alternative for people inside Iraq, and for us as a group, the project of we need to make it a reality, the equality between women and men. I think I spoke too much. I'm going to show you with slides what we have done inside there. It will make the experience more understandable for you. Let's start with the first show. We started our office in Baghdad in June 2003. June 22nd in Al Rashid Street. At the time it was a very economic situation, and whoever found a building just went into it and started an office. So we found a bank that
was burning. After the fire went out, we went into one of the rooms, and let's stop this one. We went into one of the rooms and just put our sign at the door. It says the Organization of Women's Freedom in Iran. Lots of women came to us. This woman is a reporter who is secular. She wants to see a better Iran. She says none of the organizations will create a better life for me. This is the organization I want to be part of. And she's with us. This woman is a political figure who's progressive and she wants to see better times for Iraq. She's with us. Hadil was a potential victim of honor killing because she loved a man and she ran away with him and they made a family. Her father and brother wanted to kill her. When we found her and we took her to our women's shelter, she was a very weak person. After a few months, she began working with us. After 1 year, she's a very outspoken activist. Now she leads our demonstrations and she is starting women's group for us. So empowering the women, this is how Iraq began to get its roots. We began to talk to women in workplaces in big numbers, hundreds of women, and trying to raise their expectations. Because, you know, when you come from a religious setting, you are told that men are better from you, that you should take whatever abuse comes to you. We talked to them, we told them, no, it shouldn't be that way. Your expectations should be more. And many of them came to us and started to respond that nobody's told us that before. One of the teenagers, she's not a teenager, she's 18-year-old, she told me, I get beaten every day at home and nobody told me that this should not happen. Everybody tells me you should listen to your dad. The other thing that we do is that we work with labor groups that are progressive and that believe in equality. And we also represent the women at work in there, or the women who have lost their jobs, because this was a major issue in Iraq. Millions of women without jobs, and they don't know how to support themselves. So we joined in these demonstrations, and we were the first women to appear politically on the streets and putting our demands forward in Iraq after the war. And we did tell the Americans, look, all these numbers of unemployed, the least thing you could do is give them a monthly salary of $100 so they can survive. And our organization was always on the forefront, and whenever a delegate went and did the negotiation, the officials of our organization, myself included, were part of those negotiations. There were big numbers of people. You know, the only positive thing that came out of this war, that there was this relative freedom of organizing in Baghdad, that you could set up your groups, create the awareness, and tell the people how to do the political struggle towards their causes. This was the entrance of the presidential palace, now called the Green Zone, and it's going to become the American embassy, biggest American embassy in the world. That was where we used to do our organization. Now it's all surrounded by wire, and nobody can go to that area. I guess this was the first one. Let's go to the second one. We did our work in Baghdad in stages, in 4 or 5 stages. In the first stages, we had more freedom to work. You know, this picture here, I was surprised to find that it's all over the websites in the world. We were the only organization that was this confrontational with the Americans. And this is one of the pictures where it shows the Americans with their spearheaded machine guns. They put them like this close to us, telling us to either go back home or we're going to shoot. So we found ourselves at many points that confrontational, and there was no other way of setting forward our demands. We did a campaign, we did a demonstration against the kidnappings of women, and before we did it, nobody heard about the kidnappings of women. Like, people had an idea, but we made this demonstration where all the foreign media came. CNN talked to us, BBC talked to us, and all the local media. We made it a mentality that all the society should speak against the kidnappings of women. And at the time, all the political parties, far right, far left, center, all of them were supportive of us that the streets need to be safe for women. And And I wrote an open letter to Paul Bremer blaming him for the genocide that has happened against the women after this war of Iraq. 400 women being sexually trafficked, kidnapped, or raped is no minor issue. Something should be done about it. I delivered it to the presidential palace, but I did not receive any answer. All the media in the world have mentioned it, but he acted as if he had received nothing. Even when people asked him, he did not answer. We went to some conferences, and at that time we were surprised that in some of these conferences, the Islamist parties had prepared delegates to go in there and to make sure that women do not get their rights, that there is no equality issue, that the Sharia law prevails, and they tried to treat us as minority, but it turned out after 1.5 years of work, we are more dominant on the women's scene. Half those women do not work anymore in the women's organization. Many of the men support us in our organization, many of them lawyers. They come volunteer their work for us. They say if you need legal aid, if the women in your organization need any sort of help, we are ready to help. And we accept the membership of men in our organization because we think that the inferiority of women doesn't come, like the mentality doesn't come from the men. It comes from a rightist, reactionary groups who don't want to see women strong in society. In other words, it's a societal disease, political one, based on a political agenda. Many of the Islamists did not work like our work. We have a newspaper where we promote equality, and sometimes we have columns where we make fun of Islamists. One of them took me to court. He wanted me to pay him $5,000 because he was hurt. These are the beginnings of a shelter that we have created. At the time, we had small rooms here and there. We were not able to pay rent for... once one of them I took to my house. That's why you find us in our backyard. I appeared in many debates in Al Jazeera TV, but they do not like us because they do not want to see modern, secular women in Iraq. They want a scene that is more reactionary, more Islamic, more Arab nationalist, and they know that we do not agree to that. We were invited many places in the world. That one is Vancouver, Canada, and there it is New York. And during these international campaigns, we managed to get many friends. This is Jane Fonda here. This is Jane Fonda. She is our friend. She supports our work. Eve Ensler is a feminist figure. She's very supportive of our work. And all of these are women from New York who are a committee that supports our work. And our friend here is a head of Iranian group, Organization of Women's Liberation. This was our idea of creating power zones inside Iraq at some point, which we are working on. I would like to show the last slide. Yeah? Because I think I'm taking more than my time, guys. زينة لو مو زينة؟ أكو مجال؟ You know, let's go to A1 because they tell me I'm okay. I haven't gone overboard. Can we go to the one before this because this one is more detailed? You go down. Yeah. Okay, this woman gave a speech in our International Women's Day gathering in Pardos Square. She was working in a bank, and herself and 50 women, some of them were threatened, some of them were put in jail because they were accused that they had stolen money from the bank. And it turns out that some people in the Iraqi Governing Council have stolen a big amount of money, and there was a big scandal about Ahmed Talabi. They stole the money, but they blamed the women. So we took their issue upon ourselves, we defended them, we went to the Americans and told them that they cannot get away with this. After 1 month of struggle on this issue, 50 women were released from jail, and the officials who were responsible of the scandal went to jail. And Ahmed Chalabi's issue, nobody spoke about anymore. They have taken thieves, they have put them in the government, and they blame the people for the stealing. The Day celebration, we join with the progressive groups, the socialist groups, the workers groups, and we take part. This is the Baghdad Committee, a political group that we work with. They support us. If we need guards, if we need bodyguards, they provide us, and it's the progressive people who turned out to be our only support during these times. These are our representatives, and one of these ladies you have seen in this room with us, Halala Rafi, is on this side. She is sitting there on the table too. She's our representative in Sulaimania and also in Sweden. This woman is our representative in Nasriya. She is in A'damiya and part of Baghdad, and the men that you see here are major supporters of our group. This is our lawyer who took care of cases of hundreds of women, and he mainly works on volunteer basis. This is our group in Al Jihad area. Our organization started there, and in Al Jihad area, our organization helps the women, gives them humanitarian aid, and we also speak to the men. In that area, there were beginnings of Islamic groups starting, and we are trying to get to them, to influence and to stop their work at some point, but in collaboration with some political parties who can stop them. This is our women's shelter in Baghdad. We have rented a 2-floor house, and in front of the neighborhood we look like a family, but what we do is that whichever woman needs to be hiding from her family because they want to kill her, we take her into this house. This is our newspaper, Al-Musawat. This is issue number 5, issue number 6. Issue number 5 was slightly special because at that time we were threatened by the Islamists. I received 2 emails. One of them, the title was Killing Yanar Mohammad within days, and the second one spoke very explicitly about sending me somebody who will explode us in one of our events. So this is our newspaper inside Iraq that goes from north to south, and we promote equality within the people of Iraq. We do a lot of media. In Iraq, you cannot reach to the women because they are not allowed to leave their homes. They can turn on the TV and they see us and they listen to what we say. And it's only our organization in there that is promoting full freedoms for women. I would like to show only the last slide. So now it's called Summer 2004. What we did in this last trip to Baghdad is that we saw that what we need now in Iraq are state streets. Because of the military clashes, daily clashes on the streets, there is no sense in asking for equality. No sense in asking for our rights. You cannot step outside the house. You have machine guns all over, you have explosions all over. So our major requirement was the safety for women. But in this demonstration, what is special is that we managed to gather a big number of women activists who were eloquent, who were able to mobilize the women that came to the demonstration, and they all spoke against the veil, against the Islamic oppression, and they were asking for equality and for secular constitution. This is our group in the city of Kirkuk. They take care of our shelter. Parween is the responsible of the shelter. Suzanne is one of the residents of the shelter who is turning now into a woman, the activist. Ajiba is a coordinator of our group. Muna is also in charge there of speaking to NGOs, you know this woman. And Faryal is responsible of legal aid. Her husband is a lawyer, and she is taking upon herself to take the women to court of law to see what they need in there. This is again our demonstration and the outspoken woman. Let's go to the other one. We managed in our organization to get women of all ages to join us on our project. The teenage girls, slightly older, and so many of them, this is the business television that day. And this woman works in the media, and she works in the Iraqi TV. And she's fully supportive of our work, like many women in her organization. I'm going to talk about that woman who visited us. She was a reporter that interviewed me 1 year back. And after the interview, I didn't see her for a long time. It turns out, during all these times, her husband was abusing her at home. And this is an educated woman. She should know her way around. The abuse reached to the point where she threw herself at a police headquarters and she told them, look, I'm being beaten. If I go back home now, I will be killed. What should I do? They wrote her a paper that we viewed you, your story is right, you can go to a court and you can issue a complaint. She told them, okay, but where do I go? If I go home now, I'm going to be killed. He told them, no, it's none of our business. She tried to go to a court, they told her, no, that's not the place to go. She told me, Yanar, I had nowhere else to go. Your organization was the only one that takes women in, defends them, protects them. Please put me in your shelter. So that is the situation for women in Iraq. Constitution does not empower women, it weakens them. Islamist oppression is working toward weakening women. The political parties are mostly against women. It's only the progressive group, it's only a strong women's group like ourselves. So I'm very glad to see here this big group of people who obviously they are for the freedoms of...
Hej, jag tror det är bäst för mig att prata på svenska än engelska. Och jag vet inte, jag tror det är nära norska också svenska, eller hur? Ja, jag välkomnar er. Vi försöker visa filmen och förklara lite grann snabbt för att jag vet att ni blir trötta på det. Att vi pratar för mycket. Och sen snabbt går vi igenom filmen som kompletterar Yanars 80-tal tror jag. Med en dokumentärfilm som visar kvinnorna i både Bagdad och Kirkuk. Och sen lite grann angående Kurdistan, men det är inte för mycket. Och sen jag försöker prata efter filmen, kanske vi ger en paus och sen vi pratar om hur kvinnorna hade haft i Irak och sen när de flyttade till Europa. Hur har de här? Och har de bättre eller sämre? Och sen det gäller alla kvinnor från Mellanöstern tror jag. Den som vi leder i Irak, den som vi har svårigheter, det liknande finns också över hela Mellanöstern tror jag. Men i olika nivåer och faser. Det är bara skillnaden är väldigt liten. Och sen vi kan börja visa filmen nu så jag kan gå igenom. Om det är för mycket så jag säger till du kan avbryta och sen jag förklarar. Det är Bagdad. Frihetskonsten som är i centrala Bagdad och heter Frihetstorget också, samma företag. Det är en del av kvinnor från organisationen som har bott i Europa. Men vi alla stödjer den här organisationen som jag har pratat om och åker tillbaka till Irak då och då, vara där i några månader, kommer tillbaka till Europa, sen blir länk mellan Europa och Irak. Då jobbar vi nu med kvinnosituation i Irak. Här är en känd gata som heter Mutanabbi. Och det här gatan är mest känd för alltså människor som är från organisationer, alltså intellektuella, de som kämpar för frihet, alltså mänskliga rättigheter. Men när man ser på gatan, man ser få kvinnor som går på den här gatan, tvärtom som förut. Så jag frågar kvinnorna här om också lite med språket. Jag frågar kvinnorna att varför ser ni för lite alltså kvinnor här? Och alla svarar på grund av först otryggheten som finns i landet och det andra under Saddams regim. Så det kan vara bilden på oss. Under Saddams regim, det var alltså religiösa kampanj som som gällde, som kvinnorna beslöjade, kvinnorna varit hemma, kvinnorna jobbade, inte var arbetslösa. Så de var vana, det var förbjudet för många saker. Och sen kidnappningar, som finns nu mest i mitten och södra Irak. Då gjorde att kvinnorna det är väldigt lite antal kvinnor som går ut på gatan nu. Ja, du kan den stoppas. Gå tillbaka lite. Okej, vi kan börja med här. Det här jag har i Irak, i Bagdad alltså, vi var i många boende, alltså platser. Och folk i Bagdad, på grund av att deras hus hade rivit, alltså på grund av kriget, och den står inte kvar längre. Och de bor i liknande flyktingförläggning, de bor i förläggningar. Och de gamla byggnader från basregimen som hade militära grupper i. Och de har inga möjligheter, inte el, inte vattnet, rent vatten, inte vattnet överhuvudtaget. Och inga andra utrustningar. Och nu bor de i de gamla, alltså förstörda hus som finns i Bagdad. Och de pratar om hur de bor och hur de lever i det. Mannen som var där var pappan till den här flickan. Han pratar om efter att Saddams tagits bort Saddam Husseins regim. Då man förväntade sig en bättre situation. Men egentligen det var inte så. Så amerikanska styrkor hade inte gjort någonting för att förbättra situationen i Irak. Så den var inte det som vi förväntade oss att för folket. Den här tjejen hade läst gymnasieutbildning, alltså hade blivit färdig med gymnasieutbildning. Men sen efteråt kunde inte jobba. Jag frågade henne varför du kan inte jobba. Först för att det är ett stort antal arbetslösheten och andra det är otryggt. Jag kan inte gå ut ensam. Och kidnappningar finns i stor antal nu i Bagdad och jag är vittne till de kidnappningarna själv, säger han. Hur reagerar kvinnorna i det här fallet alltså? De kan göra mycket kvinnor, men för att regeringen måste göra något nu i det här läget som vi har. Vi har ingen frihet att organisera oss, inte göra någonting, inte gå ut. Så det är de som måste göra. Har de gjort någonting? Så hon svarar, de har inte gjort än. Det märks ingenting alltså efter kriget. Vad är bästa problem, alltså mest problem för kvinnor nu? Vad är era etiketter, tror ni? Om du höjer lite grann. Höjer det.
Ja, så där så vänta.
Tack. Här, där bor de där folket som jag berättar om, att Det finns ingenjörer, alltså läkare, allt möjligt folk som bor i sådana bostäder i Bagdad på grund av att de har förlorat deras hus på grund av krig och alltså bombningar och sånt. Och de som kommer från södra Irak också och flydde från det här inbördeskriget. De har inte möjlighet till skolan. Man kan säga ingenting. Förut bodde de bra och de hade skolan, de hade vanlig vardagsliv. Alltså. Här kvinnorna som vi besökte i Bagdad, de där områdena. Och där Leila Mohammad som är en av våra aktivister. Där
السياسية طبيعي ما دام اقتصادية واجتماعية وقانونية ما هو حماية للمرأة الأساسية مش بدك تسوي. صحيح. لا تقدر تطلع تظاهر.
pratar om vi har inte sociala, ekonomiska och också politiska rättigheter, då har vi inga rättigheter. Vi kan inte organisera oss för att kräva de där rättigheterna heller. Kvinnan här säger att jag kan inte skicka min dotter för att jobba. För att jag är rädd för henne om hon kommer tillbaka, om hon kommer eller inte tillbaka hemma så. Här är här är bilden om social omsorg ministeriet. Jag vet inte hur kan man säga på norska. Social omsorg, arbete och social omsorg. Här är kvinnorna som är krigsdrabbade, som är pensionerade, som har ingen att försörja, som har ingen arbete, som har massor av barn och förlorat deras män, vänder sig hit för att få något bidrag, som socialbidrag kan man säga. Men tusentals kvinnor som är utan försörjningsstöd, alltså tusentals, alltså miljontals kvinnor. Och de har 7 barn, de har 5, de har 10. Jag har 2. Jag bor med mina föräldrar, har förlorat mannen. Ingen lyssnar på oss, ingen stödjer oss. Och jag har 2 som har ingen pappa som försörjer oss. Jag har varit själv arbetslös förut. Så nu fick jag ingen. Det är 6 månader som jag kom för att få någonting. Någon besked angående min situation, men ingen svar. Jag har ingenting. Och jag har... Jag bakar till grannarna. Jag gör något som försörjer mig och mina barn. Alltså hon hade 7 och hade utan man i 13 år. Jobbar som volontär från mänskliga rättighetsorganisationer och vittne i kvinnornas situation där. Jag bor i något rum hos någon familj och den som försörjer mig var min mans kompis. Nu har han här och jag vet inte var försvann. Nu har jag ingenting alls med mina barn. Så jag vet inte hur. Det finns ingen arbete, ingenting att göra heller. Här vi har besökt en syaffär. Så hon är en av organisationens aktivist och känd i området. mest problem för kvinnor. De är arbetslösa, det finns ingen trygghet. Kvinnorna kan inte gå ut och jobba, de kan inte komma hem sent på dagen, på kvällen. Så därför de är rädda att gå ut och jobba. Förut, innan Saddams fall alltså, vi kunde jobba och kunderna kom hit till mig till klockan 1 på kvällen, men inte nu längre. Mannen som jobbar med henne, hennes man alltså. Kidnappningar är 40% i Bagdad. Enligt vad ska man göra i det här fallet? Och han säger att kvinnorna är maktlösa alltså nu i det här läget.
أما كعافة اجتماعية يعني حتى لو كانت أختها يمكن زوجها ما يسمع تحتاج على هذا الشيء.
Socialt man har rätt alltså syn är värd. Ni kan se på gatorna hur är förstört Bagdad alltså. Det var en explosion när vi var där på det. Konstskolan som i Saddams tid, de skilde flickor och pojkars skolor, alltså konstskolor i Bagdad. De nu är bara flickors skolan. Det är rektor och pratar om att de var tillsammans pojkar och flickor, men då var skolan. Så de var otroligt duktiga, alltså de kunniga, men de hade inga resurser, ingenting att utveckla sig. Vad händer för alltså kvinnornas utveckling? Pratar om trygghet här, säkerhet och trygghet alltså i landet igen. Och respekt för kvinnor för att komma ut i samhället och driva sociala, ekonomiska alltså. Vi behöver kunskap, information om kvinnor, om rättigheter, deras rättigheter i samhället, sociala, ekonomiska, politiska rättigheter. Elev. Jag har frågat henne angående slöjan i skolan. Hon säger, jag var förvånad att det var få kvinnor som hade slöja. Men hon säger, nej, vi är många, flesta av oss är beslöjade. Men när vi går ut på oss för att vi är räddade på gatan, det är som skydd använder vi slöjan faktiskt. Och jag frågade om ni tror på det. Så hon säger, nej, vi var inte beslöjade alltså förut. Men nu för att vi är rädda för att på gatan alltså, att bli kidnappningar och allt annat, då är vi beslöjade oss.
يعني من ناحية القناعة الناس اللي المفروض يلبسوا الحجاب أتمنى يعني أعيش بدون ضغط للآخرين.
Hur vill du leva? Hur hoppar du? Alltså, vilken hopp har du? Jag vill hoppas att kunna leva utan tvång. Hinder för mig var först när jag kom till konstskolan, för att det är ovanligt att komma till konstskolan som en kvinna där. Och allting för oss är nej för allting och förbjudet för allting. Alltså, vi får från samhället och familjen. Ja, det ska gå snart. För att det blir. Och här är en liten bit bara för att jag har pratat om. Det är Kvinnojouren som vi har och vi intervjuar dem här. Och huset som vi har i Kirkuk, alltså de som placerade kvinnorna i. Det är 2 kvinnor här jag har intervjuat sen själva som tar hand om kvinnor. Så den är en. Sen du kan gå och bara visa för att kanske det blir lite tråkigt. Och här är en annan som var i Kvinnojouren, alltså kriscenter. Men filmen var inte, kvaliteten var inte så bra så. Ja. Sen nej, den ska gå och fortsätta för att bli lite snabbare. Ja, den ska rullas. Och här är kvinnan som tar hand om dem. Men kanske man har i ett annat tillfälle att visa så här på längre tid. Och sen, ja. Här vi kan, ja. I Sverige hur vi jobbar, alltså i TV och media.
För att det ska bli så att det händer mord och förtryck. Då politikerna kommer tillbaka och säger ja, vi har misslyckats. Med 21-talets samhälle. Och det passar inte längre.
Byta agenda. Det går inte att ha den gamla agendan. Och jag tror mycket av det som vi ser idag i Sverige, precis som du säger, är ett misslyckande för en så här gammal agenda.
För tydlighetens skull, huvuddragen i den gamla.
Och brist på medicin och mat och allt annat som nu händer med folket som lider.
Europa, då man har på något annat sätt, där politik, religion och alltså nationalistiska tankarna som styr nu och som styr och som är också en del av regeringarna eller makthavarna. Men här vi blir alltså, vi råkar med samma situation, men på annat sätt. Här är vi alltså mörkhöriga eller kommer från annan kultur. Eller vi pratar arabiska, inte svenska eller norska. Eller, alltså vi kommer från alla andra kulturer, hudfärger, språk, religion, tillhörighet. Även om i Irak, jag tror inte på religion, jag trodde inte och inte heller nu. Men jag räknas som en religiös, islamistisk eller vilket annat religion som helst. Nu räknar jag här som en irakisk som hade ett annat kultur och genom kulturen man hade rättighet både lagligt och socialt att ha makt över mig, att bestämma över mig, att döda mig, att mörda mig ifall om jag lider inte honom. Så här regeringen, myndigheterna, även en del organisationer tror att men det är eran kultur. Men vad är våran kultur? Vi flydde från Irak för att vi kunde inte acceptera den här kulturen. Men varför vi ska bestraffas för att vi kom från den kulturen som vi inte har valt? Vi kom från en system som vi har inte valt alltså. Men här vi flydde så därför. Men här varför vi bestraffas? För att vi kom där utan våran vilja. Hade vi bott där och uppfostrat och födde i något plats i världen som hade brist på mänskliga rättigheter och på grund av systemet, politiken, religion. Det här är egentligen orsaken för det. Jag kan nämna bara 2 punkter. En gäller själva invandrargruppen och andra gäller myndigheterna. Den som gäller invandrargruppen, alltså folket som kommer från dessa länder, alltså Irak, Iran, Afghanistan, Saudiarabien eller mellanöstriska länder som styrs av sharia islams lagar kan man säga. De bär med sig den här patriarkata och religiösa synen på kvinnor, på barn, på människan i helhet.